What up, people? What up, people? It's Friday, August 30th.
August 30th?
August 30th. This is Friday, August 30th. I am thanking God for this day. I am thankful that Friday, August the 30th, 54 years ago, God allowed me to start breathing. I am thankful to the Lord, man. I am thankful of all days. Today, I am thankful, and I'm grateful for the opportunity on this my 54th birthday to be speaking to people of incredible destiny. I'm trying to find the right words to say. Unlimited possibilities. And I have the privilege to sit here and to speak to them. How great is our God? He gives me a birthday, and then he allows me to speak to great people.
Y'all, it's Friday, April 30th.
April?
April. It's Friday, August.
That was not a mistake.
Friday, August 30th. August 30th, and it is my beloved husband's birthday.
Yes, it is.
And I am so happy that God did grace him with breath 54 years ago. 54. I'm so happy that he created and prepared him just so that I be the rib taken from his side. I am so happy to be his wife and to sit beside him and be his partner. Today, when we're giving, I'm gonna put it on the thing, but we're gonna do Cash App, capital EUGENE, capital WHITMORE.
Thank you so much.
That is capital Cash App, capital Eugene, capital Whitmore, and we're going to donate to his birthday. We want to give, we want to celebrate this man of excellence, and we just want to, give into him and sow into him because he so faithfully make sure that he sows into the people of God everywhere. And he's so happy to be able to even speak a word, to just speak the word that God gives him, knowing, recognizing, and realizing that because of the high caliber of people that God have allowed to tune into Lunchtime Uplift, to tune into Network of Believers, God gives him a high caliber of word. And
Amen.
It is so wonderful.
That's true.
So happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear husband. Happy birthday. I love you. Now let's start Lunchtime Uplift.
All right, I'm feeling really good now. Somebody said happy chapter 54. Chapter 54 is a good chapter. It means that you got some chapters under your belt.
Okay.
I'm thankful to God, and so that means that I feel like an incredible moment of revelation. I believe that God today is going to open up even a greater chest of information on today. And again, as she always said, I am excited for God allowing me to be just it's always because when a minister, pastor, whatever title they carry, says anything incredible, it's not about them. It's about the people that they are speaking to. And I need you to hear it. Thank you, Deborah Elrod, for being in the house. Thank you for your blessings. Thank you so much for your wishes. Listen to me. Whenever I speak, and I want you to always remember this, whenever a minister, whatever the title is able to speak anything profound, remember they are messengers to the people that God wants the message to get to. And so if it's profound, it's only because there is a listener that is profound and God is trying to get a message to. And that's why she says, I'm grateful for you, because if you were not a person of great caliber, God wouldn't give me a word of great caliber to even speak. He's speaking to you at your level of need. And so it should bless us that God sends a great level of word. In other words, what he's saying is, I see you when you are in your finished product, even though right now you're struggling in some things. And so he's going to speak to your future, because the only way you're going to come out of your right now is that you get a glimpse of your future.
Yes,
And so that's what this lunchtime uplift is all about. I want to speak to people that right now is in the muck and the mire. And God is saying he's going to pull you out tomorrow. There's a breaking of a brand new day on the horizon for you. Thank you, Christy, for the 54th chapter. There's a breaking of day. You're about to see a brand new day. Now stick with us today, because this is going to be a powerful uplift, because I feel in my spirit that God is going to allow me to unpack something that is about to unpack something that's about to impact. About to unpack something. So now start sharing me. Share me with people. Share me with people. We don't have no egos over here. It's not about us. It's all about being a vessel and allowing God to use. We're not trying to build a brand. That's a brand that's already built. And every foundation has got to be built on Jesus Christ.
Amen.
My hope is built on nothing less. I don't need to build a foundation. It's already built. There's no other foundation that needs to be laid. It's not about me being the best or whatever. Now, I do pride myself. I do pray a prayer that, Lord, I want to be the greatest teacher ever. Yeah. I do aspire to that, but we all should be. But we're not trying to build a brand, because at the end of the day, it's about making people that are great in God, because they were created great in God, feel like they can achieve what God has said in his promises. I'm trying to refocus you on the promise, while the enemy is trying to focus on the problem. I just want you to see what God's promises are for your life. That's all we're here for. Thank you, Pastor Nolan. Thank you, Terry T. Pastor Nolan is such a blessing to us. We thank God for him every day. Terry T. Hey, Terry. Thank you so much. Who else is in our artiste? Thank you so much. Charleston, thank you so much. Of course, Christy, Renee Davenport, thank you so much. I always acknowledge people, because you could be doing anything else, and I get it. You could be anywhere right now. Melinda, Pastor Melinda, thank you so much. Again, Deborah, we're going to move on. After this, we're finna get into this word. Pastor Angela, thank you always for putting out my lunchtime uplift brochures and NOB stuff. Pastor Joel Pumphrey, hey man. Sarah is watching. Benjamin, and what's up, Benjamin Perry? Thank you. Blessings to you, man. All right, let's get into something. The name of this uplift, you can share me right now. You can share me right now. I am so excited. Why? I want to announce one thing before I jump in, because I need you to hear me. There's some of you that's been struggling to get your footing in life, or footing in what you were called to do, and it's never seemed as if you could be accepted by the masses. Well, let me tell you something very clearly, that there was a time that God didn't need you to be accepted by the masses, because you would have took on the attitude of the masses. And the work that he had for you to do in totality would have never got done, because you would have got distracted in trying to be what they told you should be.
My Lord.
And now you've gone through a couple of things, and now it's not about you being popular. It's about you being obedient to what God has called you to do. And that's all he wants. That's all he wants. And that's all your desire is. So get ready, mount up, because you're going to be able to see what God promised you come to fruition in your life in this season. I need you to know that. Thank you, Carmel. Carmen, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Camille. All of you people. I love these people. Brandon, blessings. Now, here. Get ready. The opening of the door is here. You're getting to it. This is your season to get in. And again, I want to emphasize, I know I'm talking to you in the midst of a struggle. You're in the midst of a problem. You're in the midst of something that is far outside of your ability to work out. Then you're in a good place. You know, we were laughing on Tuesday night, because I made a statement about how we say, well, I guess we're going to have to trust God on this one. What have you been doing? Maybe that's been a problem. We're getting to the place where I guess I'm going to have to trust God. Every day of your life, you got to trust God. You can't do it without yourself, without God. You can't do it by yourself, and you cannot do this without God. So you're going to need God. Now, here is the title of Lunchtime Uplift, and I'm thankful. It's called Birth Date versus birthdays, or birthday and birthdays. And because it's my birthday, I want to explain that. And when I explain it, I want to give some revelation there. I want you to understand this. You have one Only one, hear me, birth date. Whatever date. Like mine is August 30th, 1965. That's my birth date. But I have discovered that there are many birthdays. What is a birthday? It's when God opens up a revelation to you, when he allows something to be revealed to you that has eluded you in your understanding. You got one birth date. That's, again, today, August the 30th, 1965 is my birth date. But God allows me to experience several birthdays when I am able to give birth to something because of the revelation he made me privy to. And so what I'm announcing to some of you, you had one birth date, but you are about to see several birthdays. It's a progression of days that you're about to see God bring to life. First, he's going to give life to it, and then he's going to mature it rapidly, because now is your season for it. Now is your season for it. And so this is why he's sending strong revelation, because everything begins with revelation. What is that? Revelation is the revealing. So when God says, let there be, what is he saying? Let me reveal my heart on a thing. Or let me reveal what's already in my heart. And so he started everything by saying, let there be. And then the Bible says that there was light. This was not a physical sun or moon giving light, because that was not created till the fourth day. So when he says, let there be light, that means that he says, let there be revelation, illumination, and information. In other words, everything begins with information, revelation, and illumination. And this is why God is revealing in this season, because he's ready to birth what he promised you. This is the season of birthdays. You're also going to see several of you right now. You feel it in your spirit. It's time for me to give birth to the thing that I've been struggling with. I've been struggling with this thing. I have not been able to let this thing go. And so when you are not able to really give birth to that you know is inside you, you know that you're supposed to give birth to something. And so what we go is we get and take on the acceptable substitutions. The acceptable substitution. But this season is not a season for your acceptable substitution. God wants to give you the original thing that he promised you. The original thing that he promised you. So now you have one birth date, but there will be several birthdays. Birthing days are determined. Here's what they are determined by. They are determined by mind renewal. This is important. This is a season that your mind is about to be renewal, or you're about to come into a revelation. I keep hearing this come up in my spirit. You need to hear this. This is about revelation being revealed to you. Now, there are some that God is going to pull off a facade that you've been wearing for quite some time. And you've been struggling very diligent. You've been having to struggle to make something happen. And it's been tough. And it's constantly one scheme after the other and one scheme. God is about to stop that, because he's going to give you the opportunity to release that you are not, to come into that he created you for. Somebody need to hear that. He's going to allow you to come into what he created you for. And so you're going to have to release the thing that you was given by somebody. Perhaps it was a mentor that told you and taught you how to scheme and manipulate. But this season, the Lord says, if you will agree, he will allow you to walk into the season and to have what he promised you. And it'll be a no sweat ministry. It'll be a no sweat exchange with him. Somebody need to hear that. Somebody need to hear that. And he's going to allow you to come into the authentic you. The authentic you. This is going to be a birthday for you. This is a new day. This is the beginning of the birthing of what God promised you. This is, and what God gives or allows you to give birth to, he always finances it. You will be financed because it's a God birthing. He's like he tells Mary, this holy thing that you carry. Mary says, I can't do it because I know no man. I can't give birth because I know no man. And then the Holy Spirit through the angel speaks to her and said, a man won't be responsible for this. This holy thing that you're about to give birth to is a God thing. And so when God gives you the privilege of giving birth to his thing, God says, I'll take care of that thing. And so he's saying to you, if you will let go of what you've been trying to do or what man has given you, he says he will allow you to give birth to what he's been trying. That's the kicking. That's the pains you're feeling right now. He's saying to you, this is the season for you to give birth to the thing. The thing. Here it is. The thing. Now hear me. Birthdays are determined by the renewing of your mind. In other words, there's a mindset that you got that is going to have to be changed. It's going to have to be reeled back in because God is going to give you the proper mindset for this next level. As a matter of fact, here it is, Romans chapter 12, verse number 2. Romans chapter 12, verse number 2. It says, and be not conformed to this world, right? Be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing. Listen to this. By the renewing of your mind. That is such a powerful passage. Now, let me explain something very carefully to you. When it says be not conformed to this world, whenever we think the word world, we already have a definition of it that's been given us. We're talking about the people out there. But what the text is talking about, especially in the Corinthians version, what Paul is talking about, Paul has been transformed and brought into another world, and he's talking about the world he came out of. This is very important. I'm going to explain it to you. And so it's not talking about a bunch of heathens. It's talking about a bunch of good people that you have been a part of, that you have learned how to operate under. Okay. And God is shifting you now. He's shifting you out of something traditional into something different. And so he says, be not conformed to the world that you are accustomed to operating in. Listen to me. Be not conformed to that you've always operated in, because I'm shifting you. Listen to me. I am shifting you into something that is different than you've ever had before. And so he says, you can't be conformed to that world, but be ye transformed. How? By the renewing of your mind. Now, look, I always say this, that this text only gives you two options.
Okay.
If you're not transformed in your mind, you will be conformed to what you already have been a part of. And if you continue to do what you've already done, you will always get what you got.
Come on.
But if you want what God is trying to give you in birth, you're going to have a transformed mind. This is you saying yes to God. Whatever you want to download into me, I am saying yes. And this is a season that he's going to give you what he has desired for you to have, but you're going to have to come into agreement. Now, let's say it again. You cannot be conformed or continue to operate in what you've already operated in if you are desiring what God has in the new package of your life. He says this is a season that you will have to transform your mind. Now, it's interesting that this text says this: be not conformed to this world, the one that you've been in, the system that you've been in, the operations that you've been in, but be ye transformed. How do you get transformed? You have to renew your mind. It says, if you are not willing to have this mind transformation, you are not qualified. Listen to what it says. You are not qualified to prove what is that good, acceptable, and perfect will of God. You are not. Why? Because God has shifted. We are trying to stay somewhere that God has moved from. The worst thing that you could be is where God was and not willing to go to where God is. Thank you, Pastor Vaughn, for being out. Not willing to go where God is. Please hear me now. Please hear me now. Because this is a door opening season for somebody that listen to me. I'm not trying to be deep. I'm talking to people today that you have never ever, in your mind, had a real God experience, or you think you don't qualify for a God experience. God is actually talking to you.
Yes.
He's talking to people that have been disqualified, looked over, talked about, said couldn't, said wouldn't, said don't, everything that you could possibly hear from people. You have been told it. God is speaking to you and saying, I want to give you that life. I want to give it to you. I want you to experience that life. So he says, this is going to have to, even for you that never been in, never thought you qualified, never thought it was possible. He says, you're going to have to stop being conformed to what you have accepted. He's ready to pull you out of the conforming stage of your life where you thought you were not. So many people don't think they qualify because they don't have any identity. Okay. So they set up under things that will never allow them to be great. And so he says, be not conformed to that any longer. But now it's time for you to have a mind renewal so that you can actually see yourself as God has created you. And now you can show people what is that good, what is that acceptable, and what is that perfect will of God. I'm talking to people everywhere. This is your season. So the Bible says this, I've got to be transformed. Transformation is this. What? Transformation is a Greek word. The Greek word for transformation is called metamorpho. Now this is interesting because I need you to hear this because it suggests that this thing is going to be a process.
All right.
There's people that want you from the moment that you say I declare new to be perfect. Mm-hmm. And the enemy loves it when you try to be perfect because he knows that God's plan is a progressive plan.
Come on.
God's plan for your life is progressive. I need you to hear me. I need you to hear me for those of you that have failed a couple of times and the enemy comes and attacks you and say, well, you might as well give it up. You keep failing. Well, the enemy wants you to think this because once you really see the renewing of the mind and see God's plan, it's a progressive plan. In other words, God will take you by the hand and lead you day by day into greatness. Even after you fail 1,000,000 times, the 1,000,001 you trust God and he brings you in to the promise. Mm-hmm. And so it says you're going to have to transform. You're going to have to be in a transformation stage, a metamorpho, a stage of moving into. Now, please hear me, because when the enemy comes, he's going to come with misinformation and condemnation. Misinformation and condemnation. So mind renewal. I got to get to something here. I got to get you to see this. I need you to see this. And so many times, man, one of the things that the enemy causes us, when I say enemy, everything that is against your greatness, that God has promised you, everything that is against your greatness, he comes and he sets us up. He sets us up so that we can fail. He sets us up because he want to rob you of all your aspirations. He don't want you to be optimistic about what God says. He tells you there's no progress because your friends and the people that you trusted has constantly told you that you are worthless. You might as well continue to do what you do. Don't expect better in life. When God says, I'm trying to lead you by the hand, I want you to make the first step. The first step is renew your mind. Let God bring you into his word to renew your mind because he's trying to shift you into something very powerful. I need you to hear this. He's trying to shift you into something. And so renewal, the definition of this is to make new. To make new. In other words, you're going to have your mind renewed back to the place before you experience the trauma. God wants to heal your heart. This is his desire. He wants to heal your heart. He wanted to restore the freshness. This is what renewal is all about. We renew the freshness of your mind, the vigor or perfection as we renew our strength in rest. This is a season that God is trying to cuddle you in his arms so that he can heal you from all the harm that you have been experiencing. And the enemy wants you to think that you are by yourself. He doesn't need you. He doesn't want you right now in the state that you're in. But that is contrary to scripture. Amen. God says he desires you now just like you are. Come unto me.
Come unto me. Yeah.
All of you that labor
yes.
and are heavy laden. Labor is your thing that you've gone through. Heavy laden are the things that you've taken on from other people. There's so many people that's speaking to me right now that are laboring and are heavy laden. You thought that you had to take on the problems of the world, because that was your only value, is that I be piled down with all of the things. I'm still talking about birth date and birthdays. We're about to experience birthdays. We're about to experience the heavy load being taken off.
Yeah.
We're about to say, I could see clearly now that the rain is gone. You're about to experience the sunshine of God shining into a brand new day in your life. Right. You're about to, I can see clear. You're going to see clear now that the REIGN is gone. There's some things that had covered you, that had mastered you, but God is going to give you release. He's going to renew your mind, and He's going to release you, because you are already in possession of everything you need to be the great one that God called. You just can't see it because you're so heavy laden. You are in such a labor moment. I have not seen, Daniel 7:25 say it is the desire of the enemy to wear you out. He's trying to wear you completely down. You don't have inspiration for the dream because you're so wore down with things. Just misery loves company. You know what that means? Here's one of the definitions of misery loving company. When you are miserable, you're going to collect other miserable things. You're just going to let them come in for no reason at all. I'm just letting people dump stuff on me because I'm miserable. I don't know who I am. I have no identity. So now your mind has got to be renewed. He says He's about to renew your mind. He's about to give you true definition of who you really are. Now listen to this. Listen to the mind renewal. I want to unpack something. I need you to tell somebody to come in the house. I want to unpack something that I was coming right down these stairs, and the Lord dropped this in my spirit. He took this. He says, now unpack this, because you cannot be conformed to the system that is trying to conform you. But you got to be transformed by the renewing of your mind. The only thing that can renew your mind is revelation. God reveals to you the real you. Once He reveals to you the real you, then you are able to be a witness to somebody else, because the Bible says be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that if your mind has not been renewed, you can't be the one to show the goodness of God. What is that good and perfect and acceptable? You are not even qualified. That's why the enemy keeps us in our mindset, because we are the ones that's supposed to be the picture of what God is looking for, or what God is all about. And so He holds us in this thing in our mind. You're fighting a mind battle. That's why it says you need to cast down every imagination or the thing that exalted itself against your knowledge. 2 Corinthians 10. Here it is. God is saying something to you. He's saying something to you. He wants to renew your mind. He's opening the door of grace. He's going to reveal to you the true and authentic you. Please hear me. So I was walking down the stairs. He says, let me reveal something to you so that you can reveal this to them. Renewing, here it is a process. Renewing of your mind is not one event where your mind is totally there. It's you accepting that my mind was in the wrong place, and now I'm going to allow God to bring my mind to the right place. If I don't get renewed, I'm going to continue to conform to what I already was, or what everybody said I was. Please hear me. Please hear me. So He says renewing is a process. So now once I say yes, I'm going to have faith enough to allow God to pull me all the way across. It's a process. It's a process. Do you listen to me? It's a process, because you're going to make a step, and that enemy is going to come with something devastating to knock you off your game. Expect those days to come. It is His desire to wear you out, to speak great words against the Most High, to wear out the saints of the Most High. That's His desire, is to come in your ear to show you something from your past, to change times and laws. That's His desire. That's what Daniel 7:25. He says He's coming. God is promising you this, but He's letting you know that the enemy is going to come in several ways to detour this renewing process. Get ready. And so when he says, now read this to them so that they can get it. 2 Corinthians chapter number 3. Here it is. I want to unpack something today. 2 Corinthians 3, verse number 18. Listen, renewal is a process. You are in the renewal process. God is constantly downloading into you, but he's bringing you into something because he's about to let you show the world what is that good, acceptable, and perfect will of him through his process in you. There's some people watching that need to see somebody like you that have struggled with several things. Allow the power of God to transform. And here it is, 2 Corinthians 3, verse number 18. Listen to this. Oh, I get excited about this stuff. Look at this. It says, but we all. Now, I always have to define give revelation to the word all. Okay. Here it is. All means all. It's everybody in the entire world, Craig. He's talking about us all. We're all in the process of being renewed. Nobody is perfect right now. He says, but we all. Listen to this. But we all, with open face. Listen to this. With open face, beholding as in a glass the glory of the Lord. Listen to this. Are changed into the same image from glory to glory, even as by the Spirit of the Lord. I've got to unpack. But we all, here it is. All of us, you, me, everybody else that you're going to share this with, everybody that's going to come in, that can't come in live, that's going to watch this. Listen, the Bible says we all, what are we all in? Notice what it said. It says, but we all with open face, beholding as in a glass the glory of God. Now, watch this. As with an open face. In other words, the Lord is about to take the blinders off or the veil off of your face. All right. You've been told by what you have been conformed to that you didn't qualify. But he says this season you are going to qualify. This is not for a special group. This is for everybody, no matter what you're going through. You are about to see, listen to this, with an open face, beholding as in a glass in a mirror. Look at this. This text is saying a mirror. Look at this. A mirror. You are about to look in a mirror, in a glass, the glory of the Lord. Did you hear what that just said? It says you are about to look in the mirror and see things that are contrary to what you were told you're supposed to see when you look in the mirror. When you look in the mirror, if you're listening to the things that you've been conformed to, they say look in the mirror and take an examination of yourself. All right. But what the scripture says, but we all, as beholding, listen, as beholding in a glass, in a mirror, the glory of God. What the Lord says is you don't need to be looking in the mirror and looking for yourself. You need to be looking in the mirror looking for me. My God. If you are looking for yourself, you're going to find condemnation in the mirror. If you are looking as they told you to look, you're going to look at something that's going to be very disappointing. He says, I know what you've been going through. I have seen the things that you experienced. I have seen the decisions that you made. And I know that if you continue to see yourself, you're going to fail because you're going to be disappointed. But I'm asking you to look into a mirror and see the glory of God. Yes, sir. Not see your circumstances that you've been going through. I'm asking you to look into the mirror and try to find me and not find you. We have been taught to find ourselves. Well, if I find me, then I'm going to get the same results that I've always got. I'm going to be disappointed. Come on, Pastor. So he says now, renewing of the mind is a process. This is not a one-day event. This is a several-day event. As a matter of fact, it is talking about that I am going to be looking for a lifetime. I need to be looking for a lifetime. What? I need to be looking, as the text says, and we behold it with an open face. In other words, you qualify to look in the mirror. You are qualified to take all the blinders off. You are qualified to take all of the things that you have been forced to be conformed to. You are qualified to take them off in this season. And he says, look as in an open mirror or an open glass, and to behold, you qualify to look into the mirror and look past yourself and see the glory that you're carrying. Now listen to that. That is very powerful. He says, look and be in a glass the glory of the Lord. But no, Pastor, he can't be talking about me. He can't. What I don't understand about this gospel is that there was a replacement component for me.
All right.
He took on my sins. Listen to me. He took on everything that I've gone through. He took it to the cross. And so what he's saying, since the cross work has been finished, when you look in the mirror, look at the cross work. You keep looking at what you're doing, and it's blinding you to what Christ has done. This is why I always tell you that focus creates blindness. If you're so focused on how horrible your life is, you cannot see the greatness of God on your life. This is the cause that he came, that you that had no chance can become him.
Yes.
That's why he gave his life for a life. He exchanged a life for a life. What life was that? He gave you his life so that you could live his life as opposed to the one that you have been forced to conform. That's why it says, be not conformed to this world. There's a life that is desiring you to conform to it when he says, if you will renew your mind, you will behold in an opening. Let me read again, because this is for everybody. It says, but we all, every last one of us is going to have to take this look. Every last one of us has got to look in this mirror. But we all, with open face, all the blinders off. All the blinders are going to come off. Everything that you are filtering yourself. See, we go in the mirror with a filter. We've been told I can't see glory because I'm not qualified. You don't qualify for glory because of you. You qualify for glory because of grace. And it says, look through the mirror of grace so that you can behold the glory. He wants you to see him as opposed to seeing you. Because if you don't see him and the glory, you're going to be continuing to conform to what you've always lived your entire life. This is a freedom call. This is a chain breaking call. This is a call for you to walk out on the thing that thought it was going to hold you the rest of your life. Listen to me now. It says, but we all, but over the face, as in the glass, the glory of the Lord are changed. Listen to this. Are changed into the same image. See how the enemy is? He wants me to see me. When God says, if you look and see me, you're going to be changed into what you see. If you can look by mind renewal and see me, that's the only way you'll be changed into what you see. If you keep looking in the mirror and seeing yourself, you're going to stay the same thing that you are. That's why the enemy said, do self-inventory and condemn yourself. But God is saying, you have the privilege and the opportunity in this season to look in the mirror without any veils, without any limitations, and see God, and don't apologize that when I look in there, I see grace. He says, don't apologize for looking in the mirror and seeing grace or seeing the glory of God that is upon you, even though right now you're living in the midst of a circumstance. The only way you're going to see and live glory is that you see glory when you look in the mirror of grace. He says, I'm pulling you out of something that you perhaps never thought before because you have been conforming to the things that men have taught you. It gets more interesting. Stay with me now. And so here it is again. It says, well, we all with open face, beholding as in a glass, the glory of the Lord. He didn't say look in the mirror and see me. He says look in the mirror and see the glory of the Lord. Are changed into the same image. Listen to this. From glory to glory. I'm talking about birthdays. You're about to experience birthdays. We all have one birth date, specific. But when we come into Revelation, we are introduced and allowed the privilege of having birthdays. You're about to come alive and give birth to what God. But you got to look in the mirror and be able to see God and not see your problem. You got to look in the mirror and see grace and not see what you've been going through. This is the opportunity that is opening. And look at the text again. Look at the text again. It says, for the Lord, the glory of the Lord are changed into the same image. If I can see him in the mirror, when I look in the mirror, if I can look past me and see what he's done, then I can have the opportunity to be changed into that. Now, notice what the text said. The same image from glory to glory. Did you hear what? Listen to me. Let me unpack it because I need you to see it. It says from glory to glory. In other words, it's not from your problem to glory. It's from glory to glory. You have to understand the protocol to glory.
Right.
God is trying to stabilize you in glory so that he can take you from glory to glory. He don't take you from your mindset being nothing to glory. He says, I got to get your mind renewed before I can even elevate you or let you advance in what I promise you. That's why the enemy keep telling you to look at you, because once you look at you, you are not going to be thinking, you can't even believe that God would take me there. And so he says, don't look at yourself, look at me. Just keep your eyes focused on what I said. The promise is, this is not about a feeling. This is not about your feeling. This is about a promise. This is about you standing on the promises of God when nothing seems like it is working. Now, let me finish the text out. It says, from glory to glory, even as by the Spirit of the Lord. This is a God work and not a flesh work. You can never accomplish it. Every time you try to do it yourself, you going, and the enemy is going to remind you that here it is, you tried it again and you couldn't win. You can never win without grace. Please hear me. It's the grace, it's the glory of God that brings us to the place that we have the opportunity to believe that I can live at the level of God. Now, that was the 18th verse. I'm going to read the 17th verse and then I want to unpack something else. Listen to me. Because we are living birthdays. If you don't have your mind renewed, you will never think that you are privileged enough or even qualified to live the blessing. I got people that are deep, man, that are struggling right now. They're deep into something that they thought was the Lord speaking to them. I'm going to open this up, but it's never was God. It's the conforming to a system. Because our problem is the reservoir information we keep pulling from. It keeps, remember, you get a fresh piece of hamburger meat, bring it home and try to cook it, stick it in that fish grease, you're going to have a fish burger. That's what's happening. God give us fresh revelation. What we do, we stick it into that same reservoir of stuff that we have been conformed to, and here it is, we're experiencing the same thing over again. And so God says your mind has to be renewed before he dropped this one into your space, because you're going to stick it into the same thing and everything going to come out the same. Now listen to this very closely. It says, this is produced by the Spirit of the Lord. That it has been the Lord been trying to pull you. He's been beckoning. I'm ready to pull you into something brand new, but you're still conformed to all of the stuff that you picked up over the years that never allowed you to advance. Today is the day of your challenge. The Lord is trying to pull you out of something. Now the 17th verse says this. Now the Lord is that Spirit. And where the Spirit of the Lord is, listen to what it says, there is liberty. In other words, he's freeing you by the Spirit. The 18th verse ended by saying, even as by the Spirit of the Lord. That's what the glory is produced. And then the 17th said, and the Lord is that Spirit. And wherever the Spirit of the Lord is, he's saying you are free to leave. You are free to let go of everything that has tried to hold you in your past. He says the Lord is that Spirit, and he cuts you away from every traditional situation. He brings light to it. He's going to reveal in you the season. There's something that is not trying to hurt you, but is killing you. And it's very difficult to detect it because you've been in it your entire life. Now, let me read something, because this is the gospel of Jesus Christ. Listen to me. This is the gospel of Jesus Christ. Why are you emphasizing that? Because my mind has got to be renewed by the gospel, the good news. My mind can only go there if I hear the gospel. Please hear me. If I hear the gospel, the good news have got to be preached before I can be free, because the gospel is the thing that frees me. I'll keep emphasizing that because there are some that think they have heard the gospel and they haven't heard. If it's not a freeing word that you hear, it's probably not the gospel. It's something that's happening. That's why Paul says, if any man preach any other gospel than the gospel that I preach, if it's an angel or a man, let him be accursed. We didn't understand what Paul was saying. Paul says any of the gospel. Paul had been transformed from a very religious man into a kingdom man. And now that he's preaching kingdom, he says the religious idea that I was in is different from the gospel that I'm preaching now. And so he says that anybody try to preach anything other than the kingdom message, let him be accursed, whether it's an angel. Now let me prove it to you, because in the 4th chapter of 2 Corinthians, here it is, the 4th chapter, the 3rd verse. Let me read something very interesting to you. The 4th chapter of 2 Corinthians, verse number 3. It says, but if our gospel is Paul preaching, Paul teaching, Paul declaring. Listen to what he said. He says, but if our gospel be hid, it is hid to them that are lost. Let me say it again now, because this is very important. Because this season again is a season of grace. As the 18th verse says, we all, as open face. Here it is. But we all, with open face, behold it as in a glass, in a mirror, the glory of the Lord. You're not supposed to look in the mirror and see you. You're supposed to be looking in the mirror to see the glory of the Lord. If you keep looking at you in the mirror, your problems, then you won't be able to go from glory to glory. God does not take you from your problem to glory. He first has to stabilize you in glory before he can take you to the next level in glory. That's why the enemy is fighting with confusion, and he does not want you to use grace that allow you to be stabilized. He says that it can't happen because you got too many problems. And so here's what Paul is saying, 2 Corinthians 4, verse number 3. He says, if this gospel it is hidden from them that are lost.
Yeah.
Now, the definition of lost, this is why we're in mind renewal season. Every definition is going to have to be scrutinized, because the definition of lost to us was all of us church babies knew that he was talking about everybody that ain't in our church.
Yeah.
But Paul explains in detail, and you got to look at it, because destiny is always in the details. Can I share the details to you? Here it is. It says, if our gospel is hid, it is hidden from them that are lost. 4th verse, listen to Paul's detail. It says, in whom the God of this world has blinded the minds of them which believe not, lest the light of the glorious gospel of Christ, who is the image, there it is, the image of God, should shine upon them. Ain't that interesting that the 18th verse says, we behold in the mirror. We behold. Now, what is behold? Behold means we don't just glance one time. The behold means we are captivated by it. We are captivated by the image in the mirror. What is the image in the mirror? It's the glory of God. Listen to this. Listen to this verse, number 4 of 2 Corinthians 4. It says, in whom the God of this world, remember, the God of this world has blinded the minds of them which believe not, lest the light of the glorious gospel, who is the image of God, should shine upon it. In other words, the Bible just said this gospel is hidden from them that lost. Who is them that are lost? Which the gods of this world have blinded. There it is. Let's redefine what gods are, because we think of this Buddha, these idols or whatever. But that's not what Paul is talking about. Please hear me, because he explained. It says, if this gospel is hid, it is hidden from them the blind. We got to redefine who the blind are, and we got to redefine who the gods are of this world. Now, Paul is not a sinner that got saved. Please hear me. Not a sinner that got saved.
Yeah.
He was a very religious man that found kingdom. Paul was very astute in the Pentecost on his way to persecute the people that was bringing in a new idea.
Yeah.
Please hear me. Please hear me. He was very astute to be sent to destroy by the Sanhedrin. So he's a very religious man en route to do what his elders said when he was arrested by his creator that says, now let me shift you into your purpose. Stay with me. And now he's saying, I was preaching one thing, but now I have come into the light of the kingdom and now I'm preaching. So if anybody is preaching any other gospel, let him or her or whoever they are be accursed, because I found out what I was preaching is not what God wanted me to say. And so he's conflicted several days. He's saying the things that I would do are the things that can you imagine somebody that was so trained in an area, so astute of the Pentecost, and so astute what the law says about a situation, and then grace drops in his heart and say, I know what law says, but grace says I'm going to let him off. Oh, wretched man that I am,
Come on.
who shall deliver me from the body of this death? I'm fighting in my mind, because in my mind I know that the Spirit of the Lord says that there is liberty,
Yeah.
but in my law it says everybody should be condemned. I'm fighting. And so now he's saying, if this gospel be hidden, it is hidden from them that are lost. So now we put it in the context. He ain't talking about who we thought he was talking about. He ain't talking about the people on the street. He's talking about the people in the pews. Please hear me now. He says, which the gods of this world. What are the gods of this world? I'm about to explain it to you here. That it is hidden from them. It is hidden from them. And so when we read this text, I'm going to share something with you. We've been going to the commentators to explain the Bible. Let's go back to the Bible to explain the commentary. Here it is. He says, they have been blinded by the gods of this world. It says, which believe not. There it is. There it is. The gods of this world has caused people not to believe this gospel, because they say that is a greasy grace gospel. That is a sugar-coated gospel, a watered-down gospel. And I can't believe that. Well, I'm here to tell you, you can't sugarcoat, you can't sweeten it more than Jesus sweetened it at the cross. You can't do more for him, do more to it than what he done for it. He gave his life for you, for sinners that didn't belong or didn't even qualify. He says, I'm going to give you my life. How much sweeter than that? Scarcely for a righteous man. If he says you're dealing with people, they probably won't do nothing for you. For a good man, maybe, perhaps. But here it is. Paul is telling you, it's going to be confusing when you actually look at what grace presented. You ain't going to be able to take it. And so he says a lot of people's mind is going to be blinded to this gospel because it's so good. They are still judging by the law and they can't see it. So the God of this world, the laws of this world, has hidden it from them. And there are some people that is about to taste some new wine that people say don't qualify, and they're going to get revelation. Jesus, at the first miracle of his life, at the wedding of Cana, turned water into wine, and it says that the heads that be didn't know where it came from, but it said the servants knew exactly what had happened. In this season, there's a no name that you've been disqualified by the system, but God says, I'm going to let you experience the wine and you're going to know where it came from when the heads that be don't have any idea what's happening. Stay with me now. So it says, the gods of this world has hidden this. That's what it says. Glorious gospel. Glorious gospel. So what are the blinders? If the God of this world has blinded us from the gospel of Jesus Christ, what are these blinders? Who are these people? Who are the God? What is the God? Who's the people that's blind? Paul said, well, let me explain it to you there. I can't throw it out there and leave it out there. He says, well, let me explain to you who is blinded and how they got blinded. Now let's go back to the 3rd chapter again, because therein lies the answer. Here it is. 2 Corinthians 3, verse number 13. I started at verse number 13, 14, 15. Now it says, and not as Moses. Now we already know when it says not as Moses, Moses was the representation of the law, Elijah the prophet.
All right.
That's something right. That's something. That's right. Okay, I'm gonna stay right here. I'm gonna stay right here. So Moses is a representation of the law. When you read the Moses law, and here it is, you got Elijah the prophet. Here it is. It says, but not as Moses, the law, which put a veil over his face. Remember, the veil is about to be taken off so that we can see the glory of God in grace. Now listen to the text. It's going to explain it. It says, but not as Moses, which put a veil on his face, that the children of Israel could not steadfast look to the end of that which is abolished. What is abolished? It just said Moses. It just talked about something that is abolished. Moses is a representation of the law. Listen to me. Watch it. It says, but their minds were blinded. Listen to me. But their minds were blinded. For until this day remaineth the same veil untaken away in the reading of the Old Testament, which veil is done away with. Please hear me. The 15th verse, here it is. But even until this day, when Moses is read, the veil is upon their heart. So if this gospel is hidden, is hidden from them that law. Who is he talking about? He's talking about the ones that are still pulling the law into a new dispensation. He says this gospel is hidden from you. It's not talking about them in the world, because for the world he sent his son. He says that the sinners and the harlots would accept me before you do. So he's not talking about them. He says the people that are called by my name, that are holding and saying this is an exclusive club, they are blinded to the glorious gospel. And until we all with open face, in other words, taking the veil off, will not be able to see the glory of the Lord. And he's trying to reveal that glory in this season, but he keeps saying, you are blinded. I can't show you because you are blinded from this moment. I need you to hear me. I need you to hear me real close. You can't live this life without grace. You won't be able to live. You won't even be able to experience the fullness of the grace of God on your life until you come to the place where you can actually look in the mirror and not see you, see the grace of God. Because the text says again, but we all with open face, beholding as in a glass the glory of the Lord, not myself, but the glory, are changed into the same glory. If I can't look in the mirror and see that glory, if I keep looking in the mirror and see that law, I can't see the glory. I'm blinded. I am blinded to the glorious gospel of Jesus Christ that brings me into the place of freedom, that says to me, I am allowed to live what I was created. The enemy is going to use very religious things to pull you into a place of what is it? A self-righteousness, because he knows in that place you can't be in the place of God. He's not going to allow it. Let me explain something. I've just talked about Moses is a picture of the law. Elijah is a picture of the prophet. Okay. Now we can go to the Mount of Transfiguration when God is being transformed. Jesus is being transformed before his disciples, or Peter, James, and John are at the mountain, and they are watching a transformation progress. Now the Bible says, in comes Moses and Elijah. In come Moses and Elijah. In come Moses and Elijah. And so in the process of them walking in, Peter comes out of his stupor. When Peter comes out of his stupor, he looks and he sees Moses and Elijah. And in the life of a Hebrew, in the life of a Jew, we're in tall cotton. It does not get any greater than this. Now they went up the mountain with Jesus, but they didn't have a revelation of who he was. So his gospel was hidden because they didn't know who they was. And so when the gospel is hidden, the law and the prophets are going to have dominance. I'm speaking to somebody. I'm backing. And so here it is. They're in the Mount of Transfiguration. Peter comes out of his stupor and he sees Moses and Elijah. And in the life of a Hebrew, you don't get higher than that. And now he's bragging. He says, oh my God. OMG. Jesus. Listen, partner. You are in great company. He says, as a matter of fact, what I want to do is, I'm going to build a tabernacle. What is a tabernacle? It's a dwelling place, a permanent dwelling place. It's a tabernacle. It's a tent. I'm going to build a tabernacle. I'm going to build one for Moses. I'm going to build one for Elijah. And rest assured, partner, I'm going to put you in the same category as them. This is so powerful. The Bible declares that Jesus didn't utter a word. There was a voice that came from the cloud that had overtaken them. And the voice says this. The voice says that this is my beloved son. Hear ye him. In other words, I don't care what Moses was to you. I don't care what Elijah was to you. Now I'm sitting in a whole different grace. And for you to be able to live, Peter, you're going to have to only hear what he's about to say. In other words, you talking about building a tabernacle where all three can reside together. He says that's not going to work. My son in the law, it won't be able to dwell in... my son-in-law won't be able to dwell. You're going to have to make it a point that I'm following this grace as opposed to following what was. Here is a picture of a new covenant that God is introducing, and he has allowed Peter to see a preview of what is about to come. Listen to me. The Bible says this. Here's what the scripture says, that Moses and Elijah was talking to Jesus about the decease that he was about to experience. That's so powerful to me. Why is it so powerful? Because here it is Moses, here it is Elijah talking to Jesus and telling him, you're about to be crucified on the cross in Jerusalem. They are talking to him about the decease that he's about to experience. That is so amazing to me. And this is why God said, this is my son, hear ye him. Because Moses, listen, body was fought over by Michael and Satan. So that means that he died. Elijah was taken up, as the scripture said. But look, here it is Jesus. He's going to die and be taken up. So the text is already saying that he already possessed the power of both of them. Why go for multiple when you can just have one in your life that covers the entirety of your life? This is a birthing season. This is a new season that God is bringing us into revelation. You're going to give birth because God has said, I'm revealing something in your life. It's going to be difficult. You know, birthing, the process of giving birth is a painful process. No ifs, no ands about it. So I've been told. It is a difficult process. Now, you got to have, as they say, the right Lamar's partner.
Okay.
Here's what is important in your birthing. It is important because it's going to be difficult for you to leave what was to come into what is. You got to have the proper partners in your life. If not, you are not going to be able to give birth in this season. That's why the enemy wants you to keep certain things in your life, because God is trying to birth something in your life, and it's going to be difficult just to give birth to it. But when you got the wrong people in your ears, if you are listening to the wrong stuff in this season, you are going to produce something that does not look like God. You are not going to produce something that does not look like God. That's why it's been a delay in your birthday. Because you have not had the fortitude enough to say, I'm going to go with what God has said, as opposed to being conformed to what I've been in. Be not conformed to the will, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Your mind has got to be renewed for God to give you this birth. Amen. It is important that you understand this. It is important that you understand. You're so focused on your connection with men. As Mary said to the angel, when the angel said, you're about to give birth, she says, this can't happen because I'm not in position with man. They don't recognize me yet. They haven't endorsed me yet. They haven't ordained me yet. Listen to me very closely. The angel says to Moses, say, this holy thing that you're about to give birth to won't come from a man. This is not going to be birthed through man. Please hear me. Please hear me. Just like Elijah was told on 1 Kings chapter number 17. God didn't tell him to go and emerge on the scene. He says, go and show up and be ready as a willing vessel. Because if you will be a willing vessel, I am going to allow you. Man, this is a new season. Now, for those of you that have took the posture and say, Pastor G is against relationship. You know that's not true. I'm against toxic relationship. I'm against you believing that you cannot even think that you could be used by the Lord unless somebody tell you that you good to go now. Ordination comes from the Lord.
Yes.
Just do. God told Samuel, you're good, but I have already gotten my man. You're just going to go down to verify what I already validated. So we're in a different season. We're in a birthing season. I am excited about your future. I'm excited about what you're about to see in this period of your life. Now, there's going to be people that's upset. There's people that don't like. There's people that are stuck. This gospel is hidden. The Bible said it. There's people that's going to say, yeah, but. That's the story of their life. That's the title of every one of their sermons. Yeah, but. Yeah, but I know what it said. We believe that if I can get enough people, enough committee people to go in my direction on a thing, I can sway or I can come up with a premise, and it don't have to be biblical. It's just a premise. I can say, now this is the way. I can say this is how you do it. I can say that this is this. You don't qualify. Jesus experienced this the entirety of his ministry when they came to him and says to him, "By what authority do you do these things?" That was a good question. By what authority do you do this? The equivalence of that is 2019 is, who's your covering? Who told you could? Same thing. Same exact thing. I want to share something with somebody, and then I'm out of here. My time is up. I want to share this with you. This is the season that God is going to establish something in you. And he's establishing you as a part of the whole. Please hear me. You are to be a part of the body of Christ. But what our problem has been is that we didn't think that we could get started unless somebody said, you now, I think it's a good time for you to get started into what God called you into. This is not the time. This is not the time or the season. God is using you for something, and you won't be happy until you're able to walk into that. Mm-hmm. So I would suggest very strongly that you consult the Lord in this season and be ready to move in his prompt and his command. You're about to give birth to it. It's your season to give birth to it. Expect it with everything you have to expect it with. Go for it with everything you have to go for it with. And watch God give you grace enough to come. Let's pray together. Father, thank you today for the word. Thank you for those that listen to the word. Thank you for those that are energized by the word. Thank you for those that have the audacity to say, I'm going to believe it, I'm going to go for it, I'm going to trust God in this season. Thank you for the birthing that is happening, that you're allowing dreams to come to pass. Thank you for the strategy and the energy to make it happen in this season. We give your name glory and grace and gratitude, Lord, for all that you've done in grace for us. In Jesus' name. Amen. Now, go about being the great one that you are. Thank you guys again, all of you, for your birthday wishes. Thank you so much. I am blessed of the Lord to be alive today. 54 years. I wrote in my post that the last life begins today. The last 53 years were me practicing for such a time as this. This is a birthday. This is my birth date, but it's also a birthday. This is the day that I'm giving birth to something brand new, and I'm going to live it out to the fullest. Amen. Who will join me in this birthday celebration? Who's going to give birth today and celebrate your brand newness today? All of you guys should be with me on that one. Thankful. For those who want to give, she just wrote in the address. That's Cash App Eugene Whitmore. Cash App Eugene Whitmore. Thank you so much. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Pastor Nolan, Pastor Angela, Sarah, wherever. Where's Sarah at?
Ain't no telling.
Ain't no telling where Sarah's in the world. Blessings. All of you guys, thank you so much. My nephew Kenny just came in the house. What up, Kenny? We gotta talk, Kenny. Patricia Ann Smith, Jeanette Davis. Hey, Jeanette.
Hi, Jeanette.
Joe Pumphrey Jr. I guess that's Joe Pumphrey Jr. It might be that. Jessica.
Love you.
Katrina Jackson. Diamond Johnson. Carmen. What up? Reggie McCoy. Thank you, Reggie. Blessings, man. Pastor Vaughn, what's up? Pastor Brandon Clay, what's up, man? Blessings. Apostle Kit Deloney, thank you so much for being in the house. Who else? Kofi. Ain't heard from Kofi in a long time. Leah, what's up? Kimberly Hall Bell, what's up? Arnico. Vanita. Hey. Ross Franklin. Hey, Vanita. John. Gabby. What's up? Christy Jones. Marissa. What's up? Everybody.
Elderon, Estelia.
Brandon. Mary Jones. Dana Phillips. Ain't that? Sam Sanders. Congratulations, Sam. Congratulations on the baby. Zainab. What is it?
Zanab.
Zanab.
Thank you for joining us.
Donald Randall. I ain't seen Donald in a long time. Kevin Carter. Who else is in here? Thank you guys. Phyllis Tabard. Hey Phyllis. Who else? Apostle Larry Bradford. Thank you so much. Deborah Elrod. Thank you so much. Camille. We Brandon Gilmore girls. Let's put it like that. We'll cover the whole crew. All right, Joel. Thank you guys so much. Thank you. Thank you. All right, we are out of here. Bernice McGowan Jackson. Hey, Bernice. Blessings. All right. Let's go.
Sow your seed into the man of God today, y'all, for his birthday. Cash app sign, $, capital EUGENE, capital WHITMORE.
You put it in there.
I put it in there.
All right, I'm out of here.
I'm sweating. He done preached today, y'all. He preached for his birthday.
I done sweated out my clothes. All right. She never sweats. I sweat out my clothes. Thank you, though. All right. Thank you so much. Hey, look, if you're in the Little Rock area, 1111 West 7th Street, downtown Little Rock, Arkansas, 9 a.m. this Sunday, we are on and popping. And then for those of you that are in other areas, of course, you'll see us Monday, 12 noon Central Standard Time. Holla. This message is going to be on my YouTube page, Pastor G at Network of Believers. I need every last one of you to subscribe to my YouTube page. Go in there, over there, and subscribe. And for those of you that are not friends of mine, if you want notification on my Facebook stuff, just send me a friend request, and I will accept it. Holla. Just send me a friend request. I accept it. Holla. We friends anyway. Holla.